What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this video we'll be solving x and y with complex equation. Now we're going to use complex numbers to solve two variables. In this case it's going to be x and y. Now before we start though, I just like to say thank you very much, guys, for watching, subscribing to the channel, commenting, and not forgetting those who like and share the videos. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share the videos as well. All right, guys, so this video that we are watching here, we will be solving x and y using complex numbers. But you need to understand that we can only do that when the complex numbers are in a rectangular form. Just in case you don't know a rectangular form, how does it look like? Basically, it has real number plus imaginary number, right? But then you must equate that complex number with another complex number that contains x and y. In this case, we have x, which is a real number, plus imaginary number, which is y. Now, this is a simple example of how to solve for x and y using complex numbers. So guys, just in case you don't know the rectangular form, I have made a video on rectangular form explaining it. You can go to the description, click on that link, or that video will pop up on the top right of this video that you're watching here. So how do we actually solve for x and y when we have two complex numbers that are equal to each other? So this is how we do it, guys. First of all, you need to group real numbers and imaginary number. Remember, these two complex numbers are equating each other. So you can first write real to indicate that you wanna only group the real numbers. So on your left hand side, you're gonna only write the real part of the complex number. So in this case, the real part of this complex number here is gonna be a on our left hand side. Now you look for another. If there is no any other real number, then you equate. Then now you consider the right hand side. On the right hand side also, you're gonna only take, or you're going to consider the real part of the complex number. In this case now, the real part is going to be x. So in other words, a is equaling to x. Basically, that's how you solve for x in this case. Now that you're done with the real part of the complex number, now you start grouping imaginary number. Okay. So this is how you do it, guys. You just write imaginary, or you can write im, is still fine, guys, like this. This indicates that you are only grouping the imaginary part of the complex number. So you do similar things that you did on this one here. On your left hand side, you only consider the imaginary number of this complex number. In this case now, it's going to be b. But do not forget, guys, you don't include this I there. This I, there's no need for you to include it there, because we know that underneath this is only imaginary numbers. So that I actually indicates imaginary. So there's no need for us, because we indicated on top there that these are imaginary. So on your right hand side, you're also gonna consider the imaginary number. In this case, it's gonna be y. So in other words, y is equaling to b. Guys, you only do this grouping when you have both imaginary number and real number. Now, there are certain things that you need to know, guys, about this method that we're going to use to solve for x and y. First of all, your complex numbers, they must be in a rectangular form. And two, these complex numbers, they must not have I to the power of 2 and above. If it so happen that they have the power of 2 and above, you will have to simplify this. By the way, we all know that I squared is equaling to -1. Just in case you don't know as well, you can go to the description. There is a video where I explain this I squared. How did it come to be -1? You can go to that video, click on that link, and also the video will pop up on the top right of this one here. Right, so if it so happen that you have I to the power of 2 and above, you need to simplify it. Right, and then the other thing that you must consider is that whenever you have brackets, you need to get rid of those brackets by just multiplying with the number that is next to the bracket. The last thing that you must also consider, if you have a fraction, you need to simplify those fractions. and then you have a linear complex number like this. So it should be linear like this, no fractions, no I to the power of 2 and above, no brackets as well. When it's like that, you can able to apply this method that I just showed you. So I'm just gonna write one question and then solve it using this method. All right, guys, so let's look at this question here, which is question 1. We have 3x minus 3i equaling to 6 plus 12yi. So as you can see here, we have two complex numbers. One is on the left hand side and the other one is on the right hand side. So when you look at this problem here, we don't have I to the power of 2. We don't have fractions, and also we don't have brackets. So when it's like this, we can just group the real numbers and the imaginary numbers. So how about you start with real numbers? There we go. Just write real, guys. You don't really have to write everything. Now, you start with your left hand side. Any number that is real on the left hand side, you write it underneath them. So it's going to be 3x on this complex number here. So we're just going to take the real part of this complex number. If there's any other, we're just going to add it. So there is no any other. Now we say equaling to. Now we consider the right hand side. Again, on the right hand side, we look at this complex number here. We're only going to consider the real part of this complex number, which is going to be negative 6. So we can say 3x is equaling to negative 6. But we are solving for x, so we need to divide by 3 both sides. When you divide by 3, this is going to give us x is equaling to negative 2. So in other words, x is equaling to negative 2. Now that we are done with the real part, how about we consider imaginary number? So we're going to group imaginary number. So we're going to write im. Don't really have to write everything there. Right. So you look at the complex number on your left hand side, and you're only going to consider imaginary number. Now, when you look at this part here, the imaginary number here is negative 3. Guys, you don't really have to include this I, because this im here represents that we are dealing with imaginary number. So we can exclude the I on the original equation there. And then you say equaling to, because there's no any other imaginary number on your left hand side. On your right hand side, you're also going to consider the imaginary part of this complex number, which is going to be 12y. Again, don't include this I, because this im represent the imaginary part of this imaginary number. Right. So from there, we solve for y. So we're just going to divide by 12 both sides. And we know that negative 1 over 4 is equaling to y. So x is equaling to negative 2 and y is equaling to negative 1 over 4. Guys, I hope you managed to understand this part of the solving x and y with complex equation. So we're gonna make more videos where we need to simplify further. Maybe we will be having I to the power of 2 or more, or maybe we'll be having fraction, or maybe we'll be having the bracket. So we're gonna do lots of those questions. So stay tuned, guys, if you don't want those questions to miss you. Right, if you do understand this video, do not forget to like and share the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If it so happened that you got lost at some point, go to that point, rewatch the video. And if still that doesn't help, do not forget to leave a comment, and I'll try to answer to my level best. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Till next time, stay tuned for the next video where we'll be solving the x and y.